Start the meeting. Sorry for the delay. We were in executive session discussing personnel matters, so took us a little long. Apologize. This is a welcome to the meeting, the general Borough Council meeting, Green Tree Borough for Monday, June 3rd, 2024. I would like to have a moment of silence and a pledge of allegiance. This time, the moment of silence this week. On the 6th is the 80th anniversary of the invasion of Normandy, which was a turning point of the World War II, which many veterans are still out. I think there's 100,000 veterans left from World War II, and I think many of them are going to Normandy this week. So something to keep in mind. And then one other thing, there's a certain lady, she's not here, but there's a lady who's having her 21st birthday, Kathy Shea, like 2 days from now. So she was here, I would have congratulated her on her 21st birthday.
Actually,
She's not here.
Actually, it's tonight and I'm here.
It's tonight. Well, that's why she's not here. But we want to wish her a very happy birthday.
Thank you.
So we will have a moment of silence in the place. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call vote, Kim, please.
Ms. Barron.
Here.
Mr. Panza.
Here.
Mr. Ray.
Here.
Mr. Romanovich.
Present.
Ms. Schwartz.
Here.
Mr. Troisi.
Present.
Mr. Chatori.
Present.
Mayor Shea.
Present.
Next up, I'd like to have approval of the minutes for May 6th, 2024.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion passes. Next up, meeting approval of minutes for the May 20th, 2024 workshop meeting.
Second.
Here we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Did we miss one? Oh, we got a second. I'm sorry.
Shannon did a
Shannon, you, Shannon, you,
Sorry, I make a motion.
I second.
okay. Sorry about that. We have a motion by Shannon, second by Emily. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Abstained?
I abstained, was not present.
Okay, we have an abstention. The approval of the minutes passes. At this point, I'd like to have a hearing of any citizen is interested in discussing any of the subjects for general business with council. Please step forward and state your name and address.
Lance Deweese, I'm here on behalf of the Volunteer Fire Company, 825 Poplar Street. Just wanted to, I'm sure you may have seen it online. I just wanted to go through with council here. Some of you may have heard this Thursday. No, I'm sorry, next Thursday, the 6th and the 7th, mostly Thursday. 93.7 The Fan, which is a local radio station here in Green Tree, decided to pick Volunteer Fire Company here in Green Tree to host the first radiothon for, it's called the 5 Alarm Marathon. So they are in hopes of reaching out to the local community, as well as just their broad fan base, you know, that can go coast to coast, really, to raise donations for not just our fire company, but you know, multiple fire companies. That's for the greater good. So I felt like it was a good offer for not only our community, but for our fire companies to reach out to them and extend the offer that they put upon us. So that is going to start Thursday morning. It's going to be early morning for us. At 6 a.m. they're going to start hosting live at our station. So they're going to be hosting for 26 hours. They're going to have a Winnebago on site. Those of you that enjoy donuts and coffee, they will have a donut truck there. Both Thursday and Friday morning. I was told Friday is National Donut Day, so definitely hit it up then. There's going to be some tents, raffles, a little bit of a mobile golf, and a football toss. So if you're a sports enthusiast, even if you're not, maybe you'd want to stop by. We're also going to pull the dunk tank out. Not sure who's going to be put in there. Hopefully not myself. So that's really what I wanted to announce there. We'll probably put more on the agenda as we do get it. I just did meet with them today for a final run through, and I'll be in touch with Judy here as well. So
So just to verify that, June the sixth, Thursday,
June the 6th, you don't have to be up there at 6 a.m. like I do.
6 a.m. to
6 a.m. to probably 8 a.m. Friday morning.
6 to 8 in the morning.
6 a.m. Thursday,
Yeah.
all the way through Thursday night into Friday morning.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm
Yep,
sorry.
yep,
That's what I
yep,
need clarity.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep,
thank you.
they're gonna be around the clock, so I did touch base with Officer Rannigan. He'll make sure that there's a couple officers that will just, stop through there, and I imagine the nighttime I wouldn't be too busy. But don't know what to expect. It's their first one. So that's where that is. That's all I have for the fire company. And then I'm sure you want my address for the other thing that I wanted to talk about, 1131 Green Tree Road. So just, I don't even know if this is an ordinance thing. If there is an ordinance, I just had a question, like the marathon station down here. Coming into our community, I just feel like the bright, like the vape signs, the bright rope lights, like it's just kind of unattractive. I don't know if there's any sort of signage or ordinance or anything of that nature that would sort of dress up our community a little nicer. You go down to 7-Eleven, it just looks like a normal marathon station. 7-Eleven station, just coming off the Parkway. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I've heard a couple other people in the community say it's just sort of a bright and vibrant, like boom, coming into Green Tree. That's kind of a turn off. I don't know.
7-Eleven?
No, the
So,
marathon,
marathon station.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm just saying, you go
Right
further
on the
down.
right hand side.
Right.
right next to the Verizon.
Oh, okay, I.
Right.
Not aware. of it.
So
Okay,
yeah, that's just what I wanted to say. It was just sort of an eyesore in my opinion, but that's what I had there.
thank you.
Appreciate that, Lee.
Anyone else?
Diane Coombs, 272 Ringgold Avenue, 15205. One question that I have is, two questions. The first one is, apparently, long time ago, 10 years, this question was posed to council. So maybe Ron, you were probably the only one that was on board then, is why don't we have Wi-Fi at the swimming pool? Could, with this day and age, with people working remotely, it would be an advantage to many parents or people that work that would want to do that. So apparently this question was asked 10 years ago and was never answered. So I am asking somewhere along the line that we get an answer. Negative or positive, it doesn't matter. I would like an answer. Okay? You don't have to answer now.
Yeah, okay, but we have, I know we've looked into it, and I know we have trouble with signal over there as it is. So I think there would probably have to be some infrastructure updates in order to accommodate, maybe a pool full of people.
Like, technology has gone, like there's boosters and there's like repeaters and things like that.
Yeah,
yeah, there's
they-
all that.
They were complaining even last year how bad it was, so, but I can, I'll definitely.
The other question I have, and I guess I live at Ringgold Avenue and there was a situation at 90 Ringgold Avenue. And it was apparently pretty aggressive of a situation. And no one knew anything about this last Tuesday at 4:30 in the morning until Wednesday when the county detectives showed up in my driveway asking my husband to show him our video footage because they were looking for the people who had guns and other instrumentation that they were running around the neighborhood. I think it would have been nice to know if a general email or some sort of alert was sent to residents of Ringgold Avenue stating the fact that, in fact, that there was a situation here. And I just want to apprise you of the situation. If you need more detail, please contact me. But just to be broadsided and not knowing, I don't know how you even lived with this, Art. This was 2 doors down from you.
It's a robbery. That's what it was. Nobody was running around with guns that I know of, except there was a
Well, I
robbery.
mean, so this is,
That's what I'm saying. It's a robbery. It's
Yeah,
a
but it was-
robbery.
yeah, but I mean,
I don't know what else to tell you, but I knew.
well, that's not what I heard. So I mean, like,
Okay,
yeah, I didn't hear anything. So whatever foods of information that came to me. I mean, with the detectives being there, that it seemed like it was odd that they were
well, when you have a
questioning.
robbery in this point, the county detectives were there because that's the procedure.
It would have been nice
They
to
were
know.
checking the whole, I just knew a little bit about it. I don't know a whole lot, except that it was a robbery and their county detectives were on the job with our police. That's all I knew.
Okay. That's what I have. Thank you.
So I mean, you hear all kind of rumors about people doing this, people doing that. Certainly, I mean, yeah, I agree with you there, maybe, but I don't know in the context of how the police operate and the detectives operate, how that fits. I don't know that. Certainly, you have a right to be concerned.
I can understand what you're, so maybe what we could think about is, so we have that Green Tree Connects app. I don't know if you use that or
Yes.
not, but we could look into maybe adding a layer like a public safety alert. Where something like that could be put out to say there was, vehicle break-ins on Ringgold Avenue on this day and this time. Please make sure you lock your car, remove valuables, nothing visible, that kind of thing. So I can talk to our acting chief to see if maybe, we could talk about maybe adding that layer of notification.
That'd be appreciated.
Yeah.
I would say keep your houses locked because some people didn't have their homes unlocked and people came in the house while they were there.
Keep your car locked too.
I know
I had my
it can
car
happen, it can happen, but that's basically the gist of it. That's, I don't know, if you have any more
No,
to talk about, Mayor?
I think the public safety alerts, if we can do that through the Connect system
Yeah.
would be great. I know we had an incident on Green Tree Road, a while ago. And that would have been nice if, and the police were looking for people through yards and stuff. So if we could have gotten out that public safety alert, that would put a
Right.
lot of people at ease. So we definitely should look into that.
Well, it can
Thank
alert the residents and.
Alert everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, not to scare anyone, but to say there's been an incident,
Be on the, be on the
right,
lookout.
be on the lookout, right? I will discuss it also with the acting chief.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention. We do need to come up with some solutions for that.
I mean, this is what I was told. I know it's wrong because someone said, oh, that's why they have yellow wrap tape, because that was the crime scene. And I said, no, the yellow tape has been existing on all the flag standards in our borough because they're defective and they need to be repaired. They were like, no, that was because they were surfacing and closing down the area to get these.
You gotta be careful what you hear from people. That's
I know, but hearing nothing, at least something.
Understood. Totally understood. Anyone else?
Hi, Dorothy Voigt, 108 East Manila. Two things. Speaking of Wi-Fi, it'd be nice if we could get Wi-Fi in the Carlisle room. I don't think there's any Wi-Fi in there.
I don't think there's either, yeah.
Just one concern, I have that app on my phone, the new Green Tree app, and it's kind of nice. I reported a concern and I didn't hear anything back. So I'm just wondering who is responsible for reviewing those. My concern was, I've noticed a lot of solicitors coming up, knocking on doors, trying to sell me windows, roofs, solar heating, you name it.
So did you do the citizens citizens complaint if you
I
want?
did a report of concern.
Yes, that's it.
That thing,
Okay.
yeah,
Mhm.
it was a few weeks ago.
So solicitation
Yeah.
was the issue.
And when I asked one of the people that came, like, do you have a permit? Because they didn't have any IDs or anything like that. He's like, oh, you ought to talk to my manager. And I'm like, no, you have to talk to the borough.
Yes, they do.
But-
Yes, I'll talk to her.
Like, my question was like, what do you do when these people come to your door? Other than not answer the door, but
Yeah, don't answer the doors the best.
you have to be able to see them though first.
And no.
Anyone else? Thank you very much. Appreciate it very much. We'll move on to new business, finance and general policy. Mr. Tripp.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, I would move to ratify the actions of the borough manager, paying the May 2024 invoices from the general fund totaling $96,258.98. Payroll account fund totaling $217,055.06. And educational service agency fund totaling $5,400.83.
We have a second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
A couple of questions. Payment to Diane Zarakowski for startup cash.
Yes.
Why do we have to pay? So she went to the bank, pulled out cash and then used it to fund the concession stand and then we reimbursed her.
I guess it's not the best process, but that's been apparently and that has it set up to do every year.
Anything else?
Hemister Hospitality, Green Tree, refund of real estate transfer tax.
Real estate
34,000
reassessment.
reassessment. So there's
Reassessment
starting to come in.
reduction.
Which hotels? Is that a hotel?
Was, yes, I want to say it was was it the Hampton? You know, Dave, I can't remember right now.
34,728.
I thought it was 34.
Yeah, $34,728.
Yeah, that was, I think, for a couple of years, wasn't it, Kate?
Yeah, and I don't have it.
Is that something that we budgeted, or is that something where they had a reassessment and then?
We have a tax escrow account that we take that out. We have funds in there to cover such things.
Enough for that?
Yes.
Okay.
Anything else?
Which I think Kate's looking.
Oh,
I was just seeing where the property was. I apologize.
that's all
I
right.
can't remember.
It's okay.
Um,
Do we anticipate
but the
Good.
Hampton Inn.
the
sorry.
Hampton Inn?
Yes, that was the Hampton Inn. And just so you know, we've already started receiving scheduling notices for additional commercial assessment appeals this
Right.
year, even ones that like we settled last year. So we're gonna continue to see that with as the common level ratio
Right, so
continues to
my,
drop.
I'm just want to make sure that we have enough budgeted for all of those.
So, yeah.
But how do we know?
You don't, really, we don't. It's very difficult to know, like, if they're gonna go from 9 million to 4 million or 9 million to 7, you don't. So we do have money in there to cover it. You know, we'll look to replenish that fund again this year, but I always forward those on to the finance director so she can kind of keep track of what's out there, so that when we roll into budget coming up in September, which will be just around the corner, we'll know to replenish the fund and then to make sure we have sufficient budgeted for what's on the docket.
Okay, but this one, this is a reassessment because it says transfer tax. Isn't transfer tax when you sell the property?
Yeah,
Does that say, it shouldn't say transfer
It
tax?
says transfer tax.
Okay, it's not transfer tax, we didn't sell it.
no,
That was for,
Well, that's what I was asking.
I'm sorry, Dave, I'll double check that, but it was not it was not for a sale, it was a refund for a real estate assessment reduction.
I believe so. Yeah, we'll confirm that. Yeah,
Just wanted to.
yeah, because there's a bunch of those coming through.
Anything else?
A bunch of what coming through? A bunch of the reassessments? or a bunch-
Reassessments,
Reductions.
reductions. And we do try to, every time we see those scheduled, make sure that Judy knows what's coming up next to kind of help anticipate where those are going.
Do we contest those reassessments? Are we representing the borough? in
We
those
are,
appeals?
yes, yep, we work,
Do
with-
you,
yes,
you represent the borough at the appeal?
I do, yes, and work with the school district.
So the school district is also represented?
Correct, yes.
We've been doing that for a long time.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Without further comment, and we can move to, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Opposed? Abstained? The motion passes.
Next, I would move to approve the payment of the June 2024 invoices from the general fund totaling $127,992.83. Storm sewer fund totaling $2,708.60. Sanitary sewer fund totaling $11,744.61. Capital projects fund totaling $13,350.66. And the bond fund totaling $384.58.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yes, let me get back to it. On number 17, a payment in the amount of $3,800 to A&H Equipment Company for the street sweeper rental. Are we no longer participating with the COG? Or is the COG no longer having a program of the reduction of rental fees under an agreement?
I don't think we participated for
Okay,
the last couple of years, at least while I was here, I felt like that's how we did it.
okay.
Yeah,
appreciate that. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion passes.
Next, we have resolution moving to adopt the resolution 1344, formalizing the policy for holding an executive session.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yes, at the last meeting, there was a resolution and it was rejected. So I took the liberty and drafted a revised motion in regard to executive sessions. So just so the public's aware what we're voting on, it reads, upon the emailed written request of 3 members of council, council president shall schedule an executive session before or after the next scheduled workshop meeting or monthly meeting of council, whichever meeting is to occur first. So in other words, it's going to be the same as it is now, the next regular schedule meeting or a workshop. We have 6 workshops, we have 12 regular scheduled, so that'd be 18 opportunities to have an executive session. But then by resolution continues. However, upon the emailed written request of 3 members of council, all of whom state the time is of the essence or words to that effect, council president shall schedule a meeting within 5 business days. The expedited meeting shall be scheduled at a date and time that at least a quorum of council can attend either in person or remotely. If a quorum is not available within the 5-day period, the expedited executive session shall be scheduled on the first business day that a quorum is available to attend in person or remotely. In other words, there's an exception. If 3 members of council make a written request that we need an expedited, if something's that important, an employment matter or a legal matter, if 3 members want an expedited, it has to be scheduled within 5 business days if possible. But otherwise, if you want an executive session, it's at the regular schedule before or after one of our regular scheduled meetings. So I think this was a good compromise and doesn't change things too much and does give an opportunity if 3 members want an expedited meeting to move on a subject. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anything else? If not, okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, this is the same, in its essential terms, the same resolution that was rejected at the last council meeting. And given what's at stake in an executive session, as the mayor pointed out, important issues such as employment and legal, I don't think that this is the proper mechanism to do it. The section of the charter that this resolution is purporting to piggyback on indicates special meetings, which are not defined in the charter itself. So I don't think the executive session falls under a special meeting. Secondly, by its essential terms, this resolution could effectively give 2 members of council power to decide issues of employment and legal matters. For example, if you have 3 members requesting the executive session and you have a quorum, 4 members, and those 4 members are split, then you have 2 members of council and the mayor deciding an important issue of personnel or a legal matter. Given the importance of the matter, it's my view and belief that all 7 members of council should be present to make those decisions. And that's all I have to say about it.
But I respectfully disagree that this is basically the same. Before, everything was 5 business days. Executive session had to be scheduled. It specifically states in the first sentence that normally it's going to be the next regular meeting or next workshop meeting. So that's entirely different than last time. And you can attend remotely. So if it's an important legal issue, I mean, council signed on to make themselves available. Council signed on to spend time. So I'd be surprised if people couldn't attend if it's such an important issue that needs acted on right away, that they can't make the time, most, if not all of the members, if it's that important that three people think. Thank you.
Anybody else?
I agree. We have public council meetings where we vote on a $7 million budget, and we don't require all 7 members to be present to vote on a budget. I think it's unreasonable to require all 7 members to be present at an executive session. I think the mayor's compromise is reasonable. We can participate via phone or Zoom in the executive session. I think just this expedites decisions that need to be made, both legal and personnel. I think it just is another action that's going to best serve our employees and our residents so that we can take proper and expedited action as an executive council.
Anybody else? Okay, we'll move to a roll call vote. Okay.
Mr. Troisi,
No,
Ms. Barron.
Was there a motion and a second?
There wasn't a second.
There wasn't
Oh,
a
I'm
second.
sorry. Was there?
No. I thought-
I second.
Craig made the second. Jim made the motion.
Oh,
Craig
sorry,
made the
is there a
second.
second?
It was. We're
I don't-
fine.
They've
I'm
started.
sorry.
Kurt,
Sorry.
Mr. Troisi,
no,
Ms. Barron,
No.
Mr. Panza,
No,
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Romanovich,
Yes.
Ms. Schwartz.
No.
Mr. Tintori.
No. Okay. Motion doesn't pass. We'll move on to infrastructure.
Just for
Mr.
clarification, moving
Pardon me?
forward with that, so, the special meeting, the solicitor did tell us at one point that executive sessions are special meetings. Isn't that correct?
I believe a special meeting would, an executive session would qualify as a special meeting.
So,
special meeting defined in the charter?
It is not defined in the charter.
Okay.
I think if you look at the sunshine law, I think that gives direction. Which also controls.
so what we're now under is a similar situation to what we were in the past where the council president has full control of calling based on his or her personal opinion, whether or not an executive session is, should be called. And if he or she believes that it should not be called, then he or she does not have to call it. So you voted tonight to give more control to the council president and less control to members of council who find it necessary to hold an executive session to better serve our staff and our residents. So.
Okay, we'll move on to infrastructure. Mr. Romanovich.
Thank you, Mr. President. This contract award motion is for the 2024 roadway and storm sewer improvements. I move that we award a contract to A. Liberoni, Inc. in the amount of $672,752.48 for the 2024 roadway and storm sewer improvements base bid and add alternate numbers 5 and 6 in accordance with the borough engineer's correspondence dated May 23rd, 2024. If I may, bear with me a second here before I have it right here. So alternate road numbers 5 and 6 would be, correct me if I'm wrong here, Miss Miller, Iron City Drive and Western Avenue from Green Tree Road to Glencoe Avenue.
Correct.
So the roads here would be Arla Drive from the borough border to Arla Drive Loop, Park Edge Road from Sheldon Avenue to House 127, Greenman Way, Terminus to Transfer Way, Warriors Road from Barber Way to house number 54, Glencoe Avenue from the gate to house number 1379. Thank you, Mr. President.
Yeah, and that was actually Trantor.
For Greenman,
Green.
Greenman Way. Sister.
I know. I think it was a type,
Yeah, I got you. So that is my motion, Mr. President.
Do we have a second?
So moved.
We have a second,
Second.
Ms. Schwartz. Any further discussion?
Yes, can you elaborate on how the bids came in compared to what the engineers and professionals estimated them to be?
They didn't actually estimate it, but we did budget $750,000 and this obviously comes in under budget. But there will be some consideration given to other roads that we may take advantage of repaving because as some of you may know, Trantor is currently under completely tore up by the water company to replace water lines. So that's an opportunity that we may try to take advantage of because there's no sense having the water company spend money to repave when we can do it and get the reimbursement. And when we would do it, we would do the full base repair. We would do a road, repave the road in a better way, more comprehensive way than what they would do. So that's how I think in my update, I indicated that consideration will be given to additional roads as we work through some of these utility construction projects.
Second question, back in the 90s, 2000s, 2010s, when we had a street committee, the street committee would meet once a year, drive around every street and determine what they felt should be paved and what should not be paved. How are we determining which streets are getting paved and not paved today?
So we do that same process, but with the engineers.
Okay. So
So kind of prioritize.
So you have
roads.
the engineers driving around looking.
The engineers with staff, we go out with them.
Oh,
Take a
okay.
look at them. Mhm. Yeah,
Okay.
and like, just like for instance, one of the streets that I think wasn't on the list. But could be considered because it's taken some water damages on Fleet Street, right? But it just seems like what's happening is the water's getting under that, right at the gutter line, and it's some winter streets just take a real long time for the worst. So those are things we keep an eye on. We've already looked at that as another possibility because noticing that it's kind of took a beating over the winter.
Okay.
So
Third question. So now the engineers. In the 90s and 2000s, we used to have our own engineer that would go and keep monitoring of all the street pavements. But now I assume the answer will be the engineers are the ones that are monitoring the street pavements.
well, I was, staff has a pretty active involvement in like kind of guiding and directing which streets to look at first.
Okay.
I mean, it's. staff is-
What I'm getting at is
Okay.
if the engineers are out looking at the streets and they know they're getting paid to monitor the paving, well then, if I was an engineer, I'd want to pave every single street in Green Tree because that's a lot more money for me to monitor. I mean, it shouldn't there be some, like, I don't know. Before the street committee had no financial interest in how many streets got paved. I mean, 600 some thousand, our streets are not in that bad a shape.
Okay.
Haven't
But,
been done Sheldon
well, there's been a lot of
over the
work
last
there.
24 years.
Yeah, understood, but I'm just saying, it shouldn't, the person that's gonna financially gain from the amount of streets being done should not be making the decision of how many streets get done.
They're not getting paid based on the amount of the contract.
Well, no, but their
It's not
amount
like
of
it's-
time,
It's not like,
the more,
yeah, I mean,
the
it's
more
not like the more
streets.
we spend, the more they make. I mean, certainly they have to put the bid specs together, but if they don't put the bid specs together this year, they're gonna put it together next year, I mean. If we say we want 750, we put a budget out there, $750,000 for street paving, so. They put together a firm that they believe will be in and around that amount. They're kind of accommodating budget request.
But I think that's what Mr. Franz is asking. Are we basing the streets that need to be paved based on a budget amount or based on the necessity of the street that needs to be paved?
Well, I
Yeah,
can tell
so-
you, there are streets that need to be paved that are not gonna get paved this year. Fleet Street's a perfect example. Park Edge is a perfect example. Sections of Park Edge, Sheldon. They all need redone. They need
So
redone.
we have a
right now.
priority list of streets based on
Yes.
need and
Actually, some of the streets, Sheldon, Park Edge, were on the list this year and were under consideration to be added as add alternates, but Christine Short last month brought up the water issues, which then prompted me to call the water company and find out that that project was added to their next year's program. It wasn't on there before. So through that comment, and I thank you because that prompted me to then call them and say, is there something going on over there that we need to be aware of? Because we were not made aware that that was put on their next year's budget. We usually get at least a year. Yeah, they notify us as soon as they put together their capital budget, but I think because that was an add-on, we had only just gotten that. So there's a lot of streets over there that definitely need to be done. It would have been done this year had it not been for the water company programming that project for next year. So if nothing else, that's getting done for next year. So. Yeah, so hey, we would love to say nothing needs paved, but you try to keep up for it, because if you keep on top of it, you just have to do, a light metal and then a paved, but if you let it go completely bad, you're ripping it down, you're taking out full base and starting from scratch, which is a lot more expensive. That's the philosophy.
Anything else? We have a motion and a second. Excuse me. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstained? The contract motion passes. Okay, we'll move to planning and zoning.
I only
Oh,
mentioned that because it was just, that was something more that council controlled, that you've taken like control from council away of decisions regarding street paving. It's transitioned away from council. That's
Right,
all I just
and
wanted to say.
if I could rebut that, I run a sewage plant, but I couldn't tell you what road would need paved or not repaved. I don't have that skill set as a borough council person to go out and say, hey, Arla Drive's got this crack and that crack and the curbage is damaged, this needs repaved, but Fleet Street's, being damaged from water freezing underneath, I wouldn't know to be able to look for that type of issues. So that's why I think it's important that an engineer is involved with determining what streets within the borough are gonna need to be repaved.
And if I may also say, we try to put out that list at budget time, so you know what we're looking at to put out to bid. So, we'll watch for that again come October, November, when we do our budget meeting. Those streets will be in there, what we're looking to pay for the following year.
Okay, so we move to planning and zoning, Ms. Schwartz.
I have an appointment to fill the vacancy on the planning commission. I move that we appoint Jeffrey Natali to fill the planning commission vacancy for a term to expire on December 31st, 2025.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? The motion carries.
Congratulations, Jeffrey, you're on.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to add a motion to adopt resolution number 1347. Motion, I move,
Okay, I think Kate wanted to just.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, thanks. Sorry. I just, this is just another, for those of you who've heard me explain before, the sunshine law requires that if something hasn't been on the agenda, that we have a motion to add it to the agenda. And then a motion for the actual item. So that's what we're doing now. There's been a recent vacancy for the code position. And so just to make sure there's full coverage, we are adding a resolution that will allow for a third party to step in. So the borough is not left without a code official.
I second the motion to add the resolution to the agenda.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
I'm
sorry?
I'm saying, we're just, we're
We're
voting.
just adding it to the agenda. That's what our counselor just told us. I'm sorry. Let's make sure we get that again. All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Okay.
Opposed? Abstained? The motion to adopt the resolution to the agenda has passed.
Okay, resolution number 1347, designating the borough's municipal code official under and pursuant to section 144.4 of the codified ordinances of the Borough of Green Tree. I move that we adopt resolution number 1347, designating the borough's municipal code official under and pursuant to section 144.4 of the codified ordinances of the Borough of Green Tree.
We have a second?
Second,
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, the reasoning behind this is that we currently do not have a code enforcement officer. Is that correct? That's the reason for this motion. Thank you.
Anybody else?
In the past, we haven't had a code enforcement officer during transition. I don't recall having to do this. So why is this resolution necessary?
When the last time we lost our code officer, we did do the same.
We did,
Yeah, in November of 2021.
okay. And we appointed. Is that what we're doing here? Is we're designating
Not a
Midland?
person. Per se.
Do you want me to jump in?
Yeah,
So the prior resolution, when you look at that section of the ordinance, 144-4, it gives the borough the ability to appoint either an employee or one or more third-party agencies to serve in the role as code official. And that it specifically says it should be done by resolution. And so the prior resolution specifically said it would be the borough employee, who's the municipal code official, will be the building, and I may have said that backwards, building inspector and code enforcement officer. And with the recent vacancy, the borough has also been using Midland Department to fill that role, because you need a certified building code official. So we just want to make sure that that's formalized, but leaves a little bit of leeway for when an employee can step back into that role.
Okay, so Midland Department,
midway,
it says
Middle,
Midland.
that's it. It's the middle department.
middle department.
Middle, sorry.
I'm sorry.
It's middle.
I'll apologize, middle.
Middle,
That's
yeah.
my typo. Today,
I'm sorry.
it says middle,
It is middle.
it is middle.
So it's Middle Department. That's the
Yeah.
name of the organization.
Yeah,
Yeah, they-
middle department, and they're certified building code officials.
So what are they gonna be doing for the borough? Just building code? Like building inspection, or are they also going to be code enforcement?
They will do all residential and commercial, permit applications, inspections and whatnot. They will be doing all that. We're kind of dividing and conquering on all duties. We'll kind of handle some of the more routine, code enforcement, high grass, dangerous trees. We'll handle that in-house. Anything that requires a level of expertise, we will farm out. Lennon Smith can pick up some of like the lateral dye test inspections. And we will do one calls in-house. So we're keeping as much in-house as we can, but a lot of these things require levels of certification that we do not possess with current.
Are we posting the job for code enforcement officer?
I plan to try to seek a full replacement. I've kind of thought through a couple of options in my head. But at this point, I'm looking for a full replacement of the duties that were previously performed.
Full replacement as in full-time employee?
Oh, yeah. For exactly what we had.
Okay, so just replacing the
Replace in full.
previous
Yes.
code enforcement
I think
officer.
that would best serve the borough needs long-term. Yeah.
So this middle department could just be temporary.
Yes, we've always been on contract with them to handle any vacancies with Todd, so, excuse me, the prior code person. They were on vacation,
That's why I'm trying to understand
so we've
the
always
need for
had
the
it,
resolution if they're already doing,
but they weren't named the code official.
this is codifying the,
This will add that third-party option.
Got it.
Make it a little bit more flexible.
and how, So in terms of that replacement, do we intend to put that posting out within the next couple of weeks, days? Okay.
I just, you know, you need a little time to think things through.
Okay.
As you know, there's a massive shortage of anybody that does that type of work, so we're hoping we have a shot. Everybody, everywhere is still looking for somebody like that, so we're hoping we find something.
We heard that about pool managers too, and we.
Well,
Great.
I can tell you for sure that you go anywhere and ask anybody in this county and find out, in Washington County too. Peter Township's been working for how many years they've been looking? Local government academy is within the next 3 months is gonna start a course to try to identify people that want to be a code enforcement person because no one can find them. So within the next 3 months, they're gonna have a course. So if anyone is interested, there'll be a chance to be educated, at least to do the other side of it is even more complicated. Millions or you need lots of certifications. So it's a process we're trying for ourselves in the event that we have a tough time finding someone. So being proactive. Okay, we have a motion in a second and all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? I'm sorry. And the motion passes. Thank you very much, Ms. Ms. Barron, like to move on public facilities?
Yes, I have resolution 1345, Wealth Finance Authority, Signing Authority, known as CFA Grant for Edge Improvement. I motion that we adopt resolution number 1345, authorizing the council president and borough mayor to execute all documents in with CFA grant and the amount of $127,000 for the Park Edge Park Improvement Project.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I wanted to let folks know that this is the time of year that our borough manager has to begin to apply for grants that would move us into the, so this is applying for for improvements to the Edge Park that would look very similar in nature and how to get it and how it would be rolled out to our Rook Park project this year.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, we'll move on to a roll call.
Ms. Fair?
Yeah.
Mr. Panza?
Yes.
Mr. Ray?
Yes.
Mr. Romano?
Yes.
Ms. Schwartz?
Yes.
Mr. Rosie?
Yes.
Mr. Centour?
Yes. Passes.
So resolution number 46, the Pennsylvania Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, the DCNR, for the Green Tree Nature Center main plan. I move that we adopt resolution number 1346, authorizing the borough manager to execute all documents and agreements with the DCNR to obtain grant in the amount of $10,000 for the Green Tree Nature Center management plan.
Okay, we have a second. Any discussion?
So again, this is the time that we would begin to see what money we could get for we have our city through last year and they have been discussing how to future manage the Green Tree Nature Center. It's so wonderful to our community. And this is being some money to go to.
Thank you. Anything else? Not, we'd like a roll call. Kim?
Ms. Barron?
Yes.
Mr. Panza?
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Romano?
Yes.
Ms. Schwartz?
Yes.
Rosie?
Yes.
Mr. Centour?
Yes. Resolution passes.
We'll keep you posted.
Thank you. Public safety, Mr. Ray.
Yeah, we have a motion to authorize the execution of a mutual aid agreement with Charter-West Council of Governments or CHOG. This helps the Green Tree Borough Police Department collaborate with other police departments in the area in need of assistance to incidents. It also helps with issues around collaborating resources around training. So I move that we execute the police agreement of the Charter West Council of Government in accordance with the acting police chief's respondents dated May 22nd, 2024.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? I'll just say that Sharp with the cog that we are members of, so we are utilizing the services cog that we belong to. Anything else?
This agreement's really the same as the last one we signed with the COG, too, correct?
I believe, just firming up our relationship with Char West. Any further? If not, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? The motion passes.
I'd like to add something to the agenda. I'd like to, last month we had our first work meeting. I thought it was a great meeting, a lot of interaction and discussion, primarily pool. These meetings as of right now are not broadcasted, our virtual meetings, and it's had to be in attendance. I think we should give residents the option to, pay and view those meetings late. So I'd like to make a motion we add to the agenda tonight to vote on making those meetings public via our virtual system.
You make a motion to add to the agenda.
Yeah.
Correct.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No,
No.
This is just to add it, not, we're not voting on whether you want it or not.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay.
So I don't know what we have. Do we want to do?
Roll call, please.
Let's do could you please do a roll call?
Ms. Barron,
No.
Mr. Panza,
Yes.
Mr. Ray, Mr. Amanovich,
Yes.
Ms. Schwartz,
Yes.
Ms. Osi,
no,
Mr. Timple.
No. So that's it, correct?
Yep.
Okay, fine. So now you can make the motion.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we let me see how I should say this. I'd like a motion that we, our workshop meetings open to the public, both in person and via hybrid remote option.
You're saying you want to televise it, essentially, is that what you're saying?
Zoom, yeah, how we do it here with our monthly council meetings. I'd like residents to watch these meetings remotely via Zoom. Via Zoom.
All right, thank you. Okay,
So that's the motion.
that's the motion. Any second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion. Let's do a
Discussion.
discussion. So again,
If we can Zoom meetings because we're set up here, we have a workshop meetings down there. Can we adjust? Can we adjust all the cameras around and everything for the work meetings or? Thank you.
Can't we just have the workshop up here?
Well, it's hard when we presentation and the screen. If we get a new screen that faces that way, then we need a two-sided screen to broadcast those sides.
I believe there's technology that would enable that to provide more transparency and open communication with the residents of the borough.
But,
any other question?
no, I would say if we have proper technology, that would determine what way I would feel on this matter. So,
Whatever, but anyone.
For the sake of transparency, Ms. Miller, would that increase our fees to Zoom for every meeting we would broadcast?
I don't think so. I think we
Okay.
have enough allocation. I forget how many it is because we have a couple folks that.
Okay, I just wanted it to increase the cost just for the sake of transparency.
I have a question. So, you know, I believe whenever we do something, we should do it really well because our workshop needs to have input, and just having a streaming broadcast doesn't allow for input. Would we what would we need to do? What are the hurdles in our way if we could open it to virtual discussion?
I think that could be maybe a next step. Meeting right now, residents, anybody being remotely can't interact with us. They have to be in person, right? I think we should just at least allow residents those meetings remotely if they're unable to attend.
Yeah, but without interaction, the whole idea of meeting, interaction,
Allow them,
visual.
how many do we have online right now? We have 11 online that
Yeah.
are watching.
Yeah, and we may, by them not being able to interact, they may perceive something differently. And if they're here person, they can then verification something.
Could we get information on how we could that work
Yes.
with a virtual to,
It's working right now.
right, no, I'm saying interaction. We could pull this to be voted on at the next meeting. Why would get redone because we don't have another workshop
We do have
Until-
workshops
for July. We could get it all figured out by then and have all the kinks out so we would know exactly technologically how.
We're literally doing it right.
No, I mean for the interaction with citizens that are not physically present.
Yeah.
If you want to interact, then you can to the meeting. I appreciate it.
That's what
I agree with Mr. Ray. If you have an issue that you involved with at a council meeting or at a public shop meeting, the opportunity to come here and voice that opinion and concern, it's here to that via electronic. I think it will be counterproductive to what we're trying to accomplish workshop meetings. So if we're concerned with the residents viewing the workshop meetings, is there any that we could at a minimum record them and make them available via the website?
The minutes are always obviously available.
Right.
Of the
It takes a while though. Yeah, the recording is ending.
Yeah.
Well, the other issue, I think, is, people come to the regular council meetings and have an issue they want to discuss. They're here, they're announced, they're giving their address. I mean, that's all viable information. Our Zoom meeting is going to be open to the general public. But we really don't know whether the people trying to interact over that format are actually borough residents or not.
Well, not if
Can we?
But I think, right, you stated it so.
Excuse me, when, I'll get to you.
You stated it so clearly. You just said, if people want to interact with our meetings, they come to the meeting.
Yeah, my
I mean,
motion to
people
interact.
in this short-
Correct, we're getting ahead of ourselves
They show up
with
at
that. I apologize.
They participate, they're here.
My motion is not to, it is to give the residents an opportunity to view us remotely.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think we were getting ahead of ourselves, so.
yeah, I think,
if I would definitely not encourage an exchange of discussion workshop meeting. I've been a part of meetings for the better part of 30 years. It's an opportunity for council together, not to have. Basically, you're having a community at that moment. I do believe that would become productive.
yeah,
It's a council meeting. It's for council and deliberate ideas. It's not for this both exchange between the council and the community. That's completely different.
Yeah, I'm not just.
Okay.
no,
I wasn't sure. I wanted to make sure when we started talking about having, even when we just have them in person, just even whether it's Zoomed or not, that you need to be focused on, this is a meeting between council members, not the council members. And certainly they're welcome to come and, comment on the item to be discussed, but I think that,
yeah, I give a lot of respect to the people make an effort to come to these meetings, to interact with them, not someone that wants to click their computer, not.
Some people are perfectly unable to come to the meeting.
Yeah.
They cannot. So they could interact with via email or call, they could list workshop meetings. And then send us lists and provide their input or their opinion. So.
3 comments and then we'll move on. Excuse me, we got somebody who'll get to you. Go ahead.
I was just listening, Christine Short, 251 Park Edge. I was listening to all that saying, well, how can we do this or how can we do that? Well, during COVID, I remember Samponia, we had to raise our hand on the screen if we wanted to speak. So if way of doing that, I get the workshop deal. I mean, I've attended works back in the day where we didn't speak, we just listened, but in council meetings, we did it during COVID, that we raised our hand, we were allowed to speak through the, I guess, yes. I'm listening to this and I'm like, I guess we forgot about COVID and what.
Yeah, how did we go backward? Exactly. How did we go backward?
Excuse me, we have somebody I'm sorry, but they had their hands. Go ahead, you.
My same comment was good, we interacted.
Okay, I'm just in order. You may talk now.
Ellie, 895 Cherry Street. Same comment. There is definitely technology that would allow interaction in a meeting. It exists we use it everywhere. I am a little taken back that you all can work remotely and can be on the phone, but we don't want to let our residents have that same opportunity.
I think you're thinking about me. And I am home and recovering from having a double mastectomy. That is why I'm home and
I'm not asking why you're home. I think it's great that you're home and I think it's great that you're in this meeting and able to work. Your health has absolutely nothing meeting. And I say that with the most respect for you. My thing goes back to technology. If we use technology to allow council to work appropriately, we should also use it to allow our residents to attend meetings.
Thanks. We appreciate it. Okay, we're back to any further discussion, council.
Yeah, I think to reiterate, the original motion was to workshop meetings to be viewed
televised or whatever,
via Zoom,
whatever.
That's my motion. Nothing for action via those that. Correct, Mr. Ray?
That's my motion tonight.
Do we have a second?
Except
That's why we're
have them Zoom and they're not, these are not Zoomed.
Still,
No, yes, they are. You can use your hand and
Oh, it's
interact.
still Zoom.
A lot of interactive, so
Okay.
we don't take comments.
Podcasted.
looking for comments.
I do agree that we should look into how we can create more interaction with residents who are participating in the meeting via Zoom. I agree with that. Not now, but I agree that we should look into it.
If, since still going down that road was not relevant to the current motion on the board. COVID was once in a general event that happened and a lot of transitions and pivoting that needed to happen to make things fun. With that said, I would like to ask listener, is there any Sunshine Act that would prohibit that or cause issue if we allowed those via electronic communications to interest in the present time?
So the sunshine, the borough code, and some of those requirements were waived during code, does require a quorum of sole in person, and others are allowed to participate remotely under certain circumstances. Under the Giant law, and I think that you can allow participation. I don't think there was that would prevent that. I think under the Sunshine Law that you're supposed, if you use, different system, or you're just have residents sign up ahead of time, provide their addresses, and be acknowledged. I mean, you obviously want to be info, not just a Zoom meeting up to the public.
So you would recommend if we went down that road, residents would have to sign up prior to the start of the meeting with their name, address, and then we would allow them.
If they wanted to.
They wanted to comment, and then, you call on people, raise their hands, do it as a presentation rather than a meeting. And then you can call on people when you want to speak. It's obviously, a policy position for the.
I appreciate that clarification, Council, even though it's not related to the current motion on the table.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion. And so we could have a roll call vote.
Ms. Barron,
Ms. Barron?
Yes.
Mr. Panza,
Yes.
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Hitch,
Yes.
Ms. Schwartz, Mr. Tracy,
Yes.
Mr. Contori.
Yeah.
I would like to say that I really do believe something well. And I do think that it is going to be really important for us. And we can start with those workshop meetings since it is a highly specific topic. So make a plan on how we'll get that road feedback. I think it's really important. I don't believe in, half-assing something. And I would, with that I think that's something that we could, but I'd like to put together for that. I'd be happy with someone. I'd be happy to look at the borough measure, but I'd like just to see that.
And I enacted that. It's very upsetting to some of the people viewing when we're down there and they're looking at chairs. Now that we enacted this, we need to step it up and get the system to pass both council meeting and workshop meeting.
Yeah, I think that has to be part of the general plan.
Shannon, I'll help you work on that.
And a way when we have something on the screen that they will be able to do it also, because that would be frustrating for them also.
Typically, that goes through a computer, do a screen share via Zoom. So what he's showing on the drop down screen will also be shared with those via Zoom.
If you're much more interested in looking at that and looking at our faces.
Okay, we move on.
Thanks to those members that decided to put this on the agenda tonight and everybody for their support.
We will move on to the report.
Okay, thank you. In regard to the Civil Service Commission, council was hoping to get 3 certified candidates to interview for police officer position, but that didn't work out. There was one that was certified by the Civil Service Commission for council, and that candidate dropped out. So we have to start the process again. So council directed the Civil Service Commission to start us to prepare a new list of these candidates, and that is done. Maybe some of you advertisements, our advertisement, I have to thank them publicly. So if you put that the mayor thanks Lamar Advertising, free of charge, they've put up the advertisement downtown Pittsburgh, a number of different locations, indicating that the Greens Department is looking for police officers. We've also touched the newspapers and their social media. So we're going to get a number of qualified candidates that the civil service can process for 3 would then go to council. So the application deadline is June 21. Physical agility test is June 20, and the written exam for new candidates is June 25. We're trying to move this, the civil service is trying to move this process as quickly as possible. I thank them because right now we're down some officers. And so that's the first thing. We're also going to have a sergeant. The Royal Sam we have 1 candidate that remains for the sergeant. And as soon as the civil service certifies that list one, then council will in a person, and it'll be up to, can appoint that person. If they are happy with interview council, we can appoint a position. Right now, we sergeants, we have officers and acting chief. So technically, we don't have a lieutenant. Technically, we don't have any sergeants.
How have we been without sergeants, Mayor?
Never have a sergeant. We've had lieutenants in the past.
No, I thought we did in the 50s.
Well,
I'm being serious. I thought we did, but
let's say I became involved, elected the councilor February 1, 2006. Since January 2006, the president, 18 years, we've not had sergeant. That's my personal knowledge. I can move it on. So, man. Mayor's office hours Saturday, June 1st, 9 o'clock to 11:30 on, I was get some back then. I was glad to see some follow up of things on the mayor's report on May 6th. That Mayor Shank noted that the Gazebo Park Edge is not in the best condition and recommended that the boroughs that are upgrading this park, Alexander Brook Park has been completed. So we've applied for a grant tonight, so that is good. So we're moving on to work part. I also, 2000 report indicated, I'm reading from there. Mayor Shank recommended to the Borough of Pennsylvania American Water Company to try to expedite the Bowden Avenue. Ms. Miller reported already that she had contacted them, and it appears that they have that line on their agenda for 2020. If I understood you correctly. So anyhow, those two things are moving. That's good. A couple other things. I stopped by the swimming pool on Memorial Day just to make my presence and to speak with the new manager and assistant manager. They seemed excited about their rules and seemed on top of things. So I was glad to meet the manager and assistant manager. I also went to the American Legion Memorial Day service at the fall. There's only about 10 American Legion members. I mean, they might be more members, but only 10 were in attendance, and none of them were, I would call, young men. So fully, some of the younger generation soldiers were part. Betty has a nice serve. They read off numerous people in this have died in service, and they have everything aside after they have the ceremony. Just the comments on the Formberg Plaza Hotel. I just think, just in general, which committee, but we have to keep an eye on that former Pittsburgh Plaza. It's not occupying knowledge, and it's fallen into repair. We just don't want to have a bad condition like they've had elsewhere with big places. And no names, other municipalities. We have a business, Goosey's Confections. That's next to somebody help me. Thank you, Brutus Monroe. So anyhow, I haven't stopped by there. I will stop by. I wasn't able to make the cutting ceremony, but I'll stop by just to say hi. And just 2 or 3 more. We talked about the tax escrow. That's where we're money right now with all these bills. It's happening in the city all over. Real estate's going down. So I would just request, maybe if you could just send us, council and myself, just the balance in that tax escrow. I know it's a moving target, so just see what the current balance. In regard to on May 20th, I'm not going to steal any wonder here. On May 20th, but the comment. There was this new swimming pool design. I'm sure Ms. Barron will get an update on where that stayed on the new swimming pool design. It's not voted on. It's not on the agenda. I'm sure that's going to be part of her report. And lastly, I think recycling bins, that was discussed also at the meeting at May 20th. At that point decided not to purchase any more recyclings We have 34-gallon recycling bins now. Sometimes they get lost, sometimes they just disappear. Sometimes citizens want a new one, but I'm just going on the council to decide not to get another file of the 35 recycling bins. I'm just going on record. I think that we should forsake a uniformity. They're like, they'd all be blue and for convenience of the residents.
I can add to that. I've been in constant conversation with Waste Management and, just this morning, I received an email from them indicated that they would, it's an odd idea, but they would rent a recycling to a resident for $85 for 3 years. And I'm guessing, she said 3.5 years, but I'm guessing 3.5 years because that will be the current contract. So I don't know if you needed it next year, this will only be 2.5 years and you would pay, I don't know that. So I'm still working out the details when we figure out all the options. I will certainly pass that along to residents via the website. But you know, the one thing, if you do secure a recycling or Waste Management, if they would replace it. If you want, you know, through the hardware shop, you know, it's set there, they all charge about the same. They won't warranty that break. They say we're not resident because it's not our bin. It's just things to think about, but again, went through this, you know, try to come down to a solution for the residents. Definitely, like I said, a lot of the website for you.
Okay, thank you. End of my report.
Thank you very much, Mayor. We'll move on boards of committees and we'll start off finance and general policy, Mr. Tereski.
Nothing in the report.
Thank you very much. Infrastructure, Mr.
Thank you, Mr. President. Was voted on today on the 24 road program. Has been awarded and is under budget with the addition of 2 additional streets. Lennon Smith is back a project for our side improvements based on the much amount of grant money we did receive. In regards to that, I did reach out to both senator and state representative and had conversations with both of them. As with any government, there's so much of the pie that you can get. They did direct myself and a manager to several other opportunities in Grantman as those come up for action time. I'm sure I'll work on trying to have conversations with them in regards to get infrastructure money here. The second as I go through my holiday dry storm maintenance project that will be starting as Coliseum, excuse me, we have the initial Coliseum's schedules. This is another conversation I had with both the senator and the congressman. And a large amount of money to keep that project, and hopefully we're able to secure more grant money for that. The borough in general informed me, working with Duquesne Light and the organization to bring EV charging stations to Green Tree property in the near future here for those in the community have vehicles and will be required to charge them while they're in our facilities. Mr. President, outside of the infrastructure report, I'd like to take a personal privilege moment, please.
Please, go ahead.
So the conversation, Abbottry's being afforded a unique opportunity here. In 2060, the NFL draft is going to become Pittsburgh, which is a throwaway. We have 3 hotels that are fully functional rating. We have several great restaurants within the community, great small businesses here in the community. And in my conversation with the quick conversation with the borough manager, trying to get ahead of the head of the ball here and work whomever we would need to work with, whether the NFL, the Steelers, Chamber of Commerce, the SBA, to try and highlight the borough here in 2026 when this great event comes. So, thank you, Mr. President. I yield my time.
Noted. Very much. Move on to planning and zoning. Schwartz.
Yeah, so if you weren't here at 30, you missed the public hearing for the proposed comprehensive plan. Our members of the planning commission came and presented their final completed draft of the comprehensive plan, and we will be voting on that at our July meeting. I want to thank them for all their hard work. They're already talking about their next project, which will be to create working list of items, action items that they can work with regarding the borough over the next years as they move in their projects. We also just elected to the final empty space to be filled by Jeffrey Vitale. So that's really exciting. So they have a full list of people to continue to work. They have 2 meetings scheduled right now for this month. One on the 12th of June and one on the 20th. If anyone wants to attend and see what they're working on. And other than that, that's all I have right now.
Thank you very much. Move on to public facilities and equipment. Baron.
Yeah, a few things. I'll get some of the small out of the way first, so we can talk pool. Building, the Brook Park improvement project, the old equipment has been removed, Public Works, and the new equipment has arrived. It will begin shortly. We'll continue to keep everyone posted, sort of look out on the website and social dates. Ms. Miller, that is complete. Would that be a good opportunity? Can we use the Green app to notify our community when it needs?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Read summer reading begins in just a few weeks. It's an annual tradition, and for the second year in a row, the pool is hosting a kickoff party on Saturday. It'll be Saturday, June 5th from 2 to 4. No registration required. It will be in the front lot of the library. There'll be lots of fun for the whole family with different activities, different local businesses and local community groups. And you'll be able to register for reading program on this day or stop into the library through that day. And if you're thinking about fun things to do this summer, and we're all on, it feels like we're all on more of a budget than we ever have been. I encourage everyone to not only look into RadPass, which I believe I talked about last month. But the radpass.org can give you free or discounted tickets to many different regional acts throughout our town, including the zoo, different plays. Those are available. They get refreshed really daily, but you gotta get on. The secret is you get on the morning to get those rad passes. But our library, Green, also participates in the Events Kit program through ACLA. There are 6 different available on a first come, first basis. And they give one who with a library card and give them out free admission for 2 adults and up to 6 children at various museums across our county. What's really great about the Events Kit program is because it's not just the big meetings that we all go to when the holidays or we want something, an indoor activity. We have family or friends visiting. It really is highlighting different museums across the region that we might not normally go on a normal day, or we might not them immediately. And they are the Braddock Battlefield Center, the Appreciation Land Museum, which is in Park, Fort Ligonier, which is in Ligonier, Pennsylvania, the Fort Museum, that's probably the closest one to us, right across Fort Pitt Bridge. Historic Steuben, which is in Steubenville, Ohio. Meadowcroft Rock Shelter Historic Village, which I believe is an 8th and 1st is heading there on a field trip this week. And the Petrala Museum, which is in Wash, PA. And then the Senator John Hines History Center, which is in the Strip District. I will have to go in to check those out. You can always call in the morning to see if any are available before you head on it. But there are no, it is a first come, first served basis. And then, correct, we do continue to need to talk about the pool. We know that this decision of the pool is extremely weighty. It has a lasting impact community that is really going to be a few generations. It will, probably outlast a lot of us that are in this room today. And knowing that, we really take it seriously when we're talking about pool and the cost and what it's like and what it'll give our community. At our last workshop meeting, we did have questions that were passed on to the product. We got some updates. But knowing this, our committee and are really encouraged to have an additional public meeting, which would go to 3 specific workshop meetings about the pool. And at this, if council has an interest to do this meeting, we will discuss real discussion of the pool design. And really come to a reckon consensus on how to move forward and when to move forward with. Some of the questions that remain outside of the pool design, how we'll handle the management construction. Not something that we need to decide as we are deciding on the pool. Having the pool design will don't need to have who is managing that, like the construction of that in tandem. Actually having the design and then able to have that conversation about how we're handling the construction of it will allow us to know a bit more about the pool design, its general kind, and how involved it may be, what we are actually, here. And that can help add information to make an informed decision and to then ask those leading questions about the pool construction. So we would love to have a meeting. We are trying to keep projects continuing to go forth on the line, that we would ensure that, we could begin construction in 2025. So, yeah. I'd love to talk from our comments.
Yeah, I think it's great. I'd love to meet on June 17th if possible.
It was gonna throw out June 17th for 24th, and see how many people. I would like to have as many people as possible. It is summer. I know people patients, and that might not always. We might not get all 7 of us. But none of those things too were are not able to attend. You could certainly submit your questions to me or to Mr. ahead of time, and any thoughts and comments you would have too.
I would also agree to 17th.
That works for me.
I will be at sea the 17th, so I will not even be able to come in via Zoom. If that is the agreed upon meeting day, I give my comments, opinions, and any questions to Aaron, who's the chair of the committee for that meeting.
Will you still be on the 24th?
I'll be getting home the
Yeah,
24th.
so either or, you're not gonna.
I will not be available on either day.
Are we okay with 17th?
I'm sorry, Mr. President, it's hard to see anyone. Can we go around and see if June 7th be okay for them?
Yeah, that's what we were kind of just doing.
It's like June 17th is when it's right now.
17th.
I can remotely.
Okay. 1, 2.
So we can have Jim
Okay.
remotely and everybody.
Pretty much covered for the 17th, so let's try to do that.
Okay, so
At our normal meeting, 7:30.
is that part at 7? I would.
We-
7?
It's a workshop, we could move it.
Yeah, I think that works. And then just clear, the goal of that meeting will be to come to a final decision on the concept, course the budget, so that we can then settle along to, we can have the aquatic architect on that meeting as well. And because we do need, time is of the essence to give him a final design to begin working on the specials for the pool. You know, if we go much further, then we will probably have to face another year. So that's.
To vote on that design.
So Kate, Kate, at that meeting, could we adjourn to re-adjourn then and that we have a vote on the two, so then I can release the two, the architect. So are you, in your meeting, I want to I would like council to actually have a formal, I move that we.
And just make the June 17th meeting,
Yeah, or you could just advertise it as meeting that we're gonna vote, limit it to one issue, right? Or just
Yeah.
not a vote too.
Yeah.
So I think that would be, rather than to create a second council to vote on it, just as a special meeting to discuss and vote on. Way
To discuss and vote on, that's how I would.
if it's limited, but that will limit council's ability to vote on other items.
I think that's okay.
That's,
And
If it's advertised as,
That's all. That's fair.
okay.
there really seems to be.
So, and again, as Sarah had mentioned, the decision on construction management doesn't happen until your date. So that's something that we can part time and think our options and then make a decision. So, okay, all right. And I did just today receive an option, which I will send out.
go with the same.
Okay.
Just,
Yes.
just,
Okay.
just real quick, the audience, there's like three parts to this. The company does the design and the specifications. Once the design specifications are out, it's put for bid. A different company does the construction. And there has to be a construction managed. It could be the people, the designer, could be a third party even. So we might have the designer. Yeah, it could be a combination, right? But it'd be three different entities or a combination. But definitely contracts goes out for after the design and specification period. And that's what we need, them ASAP, so we can put up for bid to get a contractor to commit to this. Okay, thank you.
Okay, and then, Mr. President, I would like to have a moment. Can I, just have a personal moment?
Please.
to Discuss something.
Please.
So, as I said earlier in this meeting, I've been in person to our events in a month. I was early here, diagnosed as cancer. It is actually my mom, earlier in the year, this, at Christmas time, a cancer that, allowed me to have, such an early diagnosis of breast cancer. With my family, we decided to take a very aggressive route, and I did have a mastectomy, I've had to undergo 2 surgeries, to remove the cancer. It is successfully removed. So as of right now, I am cancer-free. And I was waiting until I had more information to be able to tell the general public. People in my life knew as I was going to, it was a very difficult time. And I do have 2 young children. I have a 10-year-old, well, he just turned 11. But I had a 10 and I have a 5-year-old. It's been a very, very personal journey. My journey is not complete. I will have to undergo some additional surgery, hopefully until much later in the year. And right now I'm just really focusing on my recovery. I'm having this very, very invasive surgery. I am doing okay. You might see me out and about, in the community, but truthfully, it is a lot. I recently returned to my full-time job during the day, and I am finding that days are very long, and I, actually become more pain closer to the end of the day. I've been trying to save my energy for, either being in about with my job or out and about with my family. I really want to thank everyone who on council who has been very gracious in this time, and no one has very, questions. Many, as people found out, reached out, helped me in everything that I could possibly want, from delivering cookies for my kids to hot meals, and to really just giving me words of encouragement. We'll be fine. Like I said, I am, and at this point, we'll have to check up yearly. But it's a lot and continues to be a lot. So I really thank everyone and appreciate everyone understanding.
Continued best wishes for all our prayers, and if there's anything we can do, certainly as you please reach out. And it's quite an undertaking. God bless you. Take care. We'll be talking.
Thank you.
We'll be talking to you. Okay, public safety, Mr. Ray.
Mr. President and Shannon, I look forward to you're sitting here next to me. There's a chasm between me and Jim, so I'm looking forward to you being back here in person. And you'd continued in your recovery journey. Public safety. So the mayor mentioned it earlier. We are hiring officers. Just word that our ship's fully staffed. We have at least 2 officers on duty on each shift, 7 days a week. There's been maybe a slight some car break-ins and incident on Ringgold. The policers and the county detectives are on top of it. But as Mr. President and the mayor said, be vigilant with keeping your doors locked, keeping your lights on. If you have porch lights, I think the one that's the keys were accident in the car. And accidents happen, but be extra vigilant. I guess this part I may have missed the update. The cemetery with some of the headlands and an awkward maybe of tipping over. Was there an up on that after your assessment?
Yes, I put that in my update. I did meet out on site with monument representative and going to provide, what we're doing is trying to get their immediate needs versus ongoing needs, just to try to get a little bit of the maintenance repair. With some of those is their referred to as stone. So there is legible on the stones. So we're going to just talk through what best practices are. Obviously, a lot of cemeteries, that's their bit. So that process underway.
So are there any that may be an immediate need because there
are some that definitely need to be addressed sooner than later. We're going to mark ones that we would like for him to take care of now.
Should those be roped off or yellow taped off or something?
I guess we could.
Without disturbing.
I don't want to encourage. I don't want to call attention to them. A lot of them have been like that for years. I'm just not trying to call attention to it.
Yeah. Okay.
Or we'd like set out there with him, talk through some plans, and yes, so it's underway.
This is not I'm reluctant to bring up, but I don't think I'd be serving the community well if I did. The General Policy Committee is maybe the most important committee that we have. It oversees our budget, our policies that align with the budget. It's Mr. Rosie that your committee has maybe met once there, and you rarely have it. I'm just concerned that. I'm concerned with that, so if there's an issue of time and maybe there's personal. I understand, Mr. President, I think you should consider maybe appointing Schwartz to the chair of the Finance and General Policy Committee, Mr. Trosi to the planning, he was the former planning chair. The end of my report.
Okay, on the recreation programming, the welfare, Mr. Panza.
Thank you.
Last but not least.
Thank you.
Hold
Just
on
for
a
the
second.
cemetery, I just wanted to, just for the, you know, in the cemeteries on Green Tree, if you pass McMonagle, going towards Scott, maybe most of you know, but the Borough Cemetery. I mean, we hadn't bid for it or anything. When a congregation gets too small, they had 10 or 12 people, the municipality has to take it over. So we had to take that cemetery over 4 years ago because it got too small. And the good news was we did have about $100,000 funds.
75.
60 now.
Yeah,
Well, they 75 initially.
No, I thought it was 9.
okay. Well, they gave us some money.
But it has 60 of this.
No, serious.
Okay.
I thought
They
it
get-
was
they-
9,000.
I stand corrected. They gave us money. We can stay up here and debate. They gave us some money. It was more than $5. But in less than $1 million, but they gave. Oh, man. Shit. They gave us money and we have to take care of the material. That does put a strain on the works and whatever. And we best we can. And there are some graves. There are some grave sites, week or two after we cemetery, someone needed buried. We had to figure out how to bury some municipalities aren't in the process of burying, dead people, just live politicians, but that's it. So anyhow, just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
Thank you for that valuable information. I don't know what would have done. Mr. Pants, now prepared. I hope this is really good.
Yeah, I'm just figuring 2 things Mayor just did not talk about tonight is one, first market started. I believe it started on May 16th, so we would have had 2 farmers markets by now.
You're welcome to stop over anytime.
Speaking of that, I am going public. Well, I am public. I personally, I plan on volunteering 1 or 2 nights at the farmers market. And urge all the council to all give a day or two to give the volunteers every once in a while. So you will definitely see me volunteering farmers market in July. And I stated that publicly on the record. And I hope some council will help. And then the second half briefly is for years I'm saying, please, we need October committee people. We need committee people. Right now, believe it or not, we have a very vibrant Oktoberfest committee. So now I'm only going to ask event time. Council and I will participate, during an event. Mr. Ray participated, most of the council, the mayor, MCs, and we plan having everything's going well and we have a great event coming up in September. And that is September
16.
16th.
Whatever that Saturday is. I will say there is no one on council currently, including our borough manager, who has not volunteered for Oktoberfest in some way.
Yeah.
Last year or the year before. Everyone on our days has been an active volunteer.
It's September 14th this year.
Mark your
So,
calendar.
yeah, so, and that's the end of my report.
Well, thank you. As far as the president's report, as being redundant, mostly everything has been actually addressed. I will just say once again, the safety I was talking from a different township and they said the same type of break happens. They're in there and they just circulate around. So I'll repeat the same thing. Please make sure your doors are closed because they'll come right in while you're there. And is if you're on vacation, don't hesitate to call the police. Great job with their vacation. They're there all the time. It certainly is a deterrent, seeing them on the street, looking at your, don't be afraid or be learned enough to do that. One question I do have, how did the garden club on the May 11th? Okay, was the weather was kind of,
Rainy.
yeah, the weather was half and half. Okay, just curious about that. Right,
The
that
flowers
is,
and baked were great.
and I will now move over to the manager's report.
Very quickly, just what, if anybody's interested in buying a pool, that must be done at the pool. Summer rec begins on June 7th, goes through July 18th, so if anybody's interested in getting the kids out late, summer activity, I really recommend that program. Jen Group does a great job keeping the kids entertained. And then just that, that's the question that came up earlier, David, $6,000 is in our real estate growth fund, so we have it covered, but we'll make sure we keep it sufficient.
So do we know, can we anticipate or predict what our costs might be moving forward? Is there any way to predict, like, with the commercial properties and the types of reassessments that are happening?
So
Potential pit.
I don't have, it's really hard to have a good number. And
Yeah, like just for instance, the ones that she just sent me, they just came about now, right? Almost 6 months into the budget. Now, obviously, it's them being required to be, because that hamster one was going on quite a while.
that was a long one. And so I think there ends up being issues. One, I can, reapply for the one, because I looked at it when it was one that were like newly scheduled and I was, this one looked familiar. And I'm like, oh, we sold it last year, right? And it was one that I inherit, right? It was like a 6-year duration. So sometimes, depending on when they settle, looking at a refund for buyers. So it's just hard to predict.
Could we ballpark out what our commercial real estate value is, and then what's the general?
What I can do and what we'll do is
Yeah.
give Judy of every property owner initiative appeal that was filed 2024. And then you can at least see a sense of like what's even on the table. Then sometimes that helps.
I think the important thing is that there is money set aside for purpose.
I want to make sure enough money set aside for that.
Oh.
How do we know that? That's almost.
I mean, it's just, and it's hard because there's just so many very
Commercial stuff that we have.
right, and depending on where something is, or hotels vacant, or so we just try to stay on. And I think the hamster one, it's actually a realty transfer tax fund, and I think that's why it reads that way.
Was it?
Yeah, because when you sell a property, it got resolved, and so then overpaid realty transfers.
On with reassessment.
And based on some like prop shouldn't have been included in that value, but it took a long enough to get involved Department of Revenue, and it just took so long to get that resolved. And that's why that one is old and out there and said realty transfer.
Okay, one question.
Yes.
When during COVID, hotels were claiming no one's their property value diminished, and then they got an appeal, increased their value. But now, when travel's back to pre-levels, which you just set a record PSA with number of people at the airport number. I mean, I know the hotels aren't going to say, let's raise our property value again. Does anyone go and tell, hey, let's get you back up to what it would be?
So I think the problem that we're seeing is during the pandemic, that CLR, the common level ratio, which you apply to a value, was like 80%, right? And then we've had that challenge to the CL, and this year I think it's 56%. If they come in with an appraisal, it's just you're losing either way. I don't. So in some circumstances, Ron, there's a time where you'll need property owners kind of that advantage. And they won't ask for a reassessment, but given the current CLR, that may not be true.
But do we have a the houses themselves aren't gonna say, hey, back to normal. We should back to normal pricing. Do we have a go after certain properties to say, hey, this is way undervalued? Do we have this?
So I can say that very little is undervalued given our situation, which is why we're seeing so many deals. Taxing bodies and property owners have the same appeal, and that appeal period ends March 31st. And the concern can't say, we're just a taxing body. We're just gonna appeal commercial properties to be a little bit bigger and a uniform process. Otherwise, there's a uniformity clause, and there's been a number of challenges, and it's usually school districts that follow the appeals on behalf of the taxing bodies.
Yes, because they have a bigger interest.
They're interested in a bigger budget, and we let them do that. And,
Okay.
join in when appropriate and when it would be.
Okay.
And I believe the judge on the CLL, right? The judge,
Yeah, so there was a ruling on the CLR, there was a common ruling recently, which is gonna go back to, and then the public schools have also challenged and requested a reassessment. So if you see, a reassessment could change the landscape a lot, and I think that would be very beneficial because I think it would have a positive impact on the value of commercial property, which would benefit your residential property.
Very good.
I'm done.
Okay, I would like to make a motion, we have a meeting to executive. But we're not going to adjourn to Juneteenth because that's not a conference.
now we'll adjourn to an executive session, continue some personnel issues.
Yeah.
Second.
So adjourn, thank you so very much.
Good night, Shannon.
Well, no, I'll see you.
Oh, yeah.